What's going on, awesome people? Wow, perfect start to a beautiful evening. Welcome to episode 28 of Countdown to Freedom in Iran. In case you can't recognize me without the beard, this is Iman Hushmat. It's a pleasure to be hosting the 28th episode of Countdown. It's kind of wild to think that we've been doing this for 28 straight weeks since the beginning of January. If you're joining us for the very first time, Countdown to Freedom Iran is the only weekly English-speaking live stream dedicated to what's happening to Iran. We always start the program with the latest news and update, which is why our Uniters journalist and co-producer of Countdown, Paris Mansouri, will be starting off in just a couple minutes. And then we always have a wide range of different things, such as a Uniters segment where we have somebody sharing all the things that we're doing at Unite and Conquer. If you don't know what Unite and Conquer is and what we do and who we are, Mona Haghighi is going to be giving us all that information, as well as all the things that we're doing right now post Azafdi Festival. And if you don't know what Azafdi Festival is, welcome from under a rock. We'll talk about all that in just a minute. We also have things such as a wellness segment. We have like a mental health segment. We have a mindful moment segment. And today we're going to be having Dr. Sam, the stress doc, going to be talking about sinus pressure and how you can combat it. I feel like I have some going on right now, so maybe he's going to do a little snap, crackle, and pop virtually to get my sinuses in check. And then our special guest is going to be the one and only Ravin Khorshid Alam. Ravin, I was going to say he's become like a brother to me, but literally he's become like a cousin. We are related by family. Didn't even realize it until this revolution happened and connections were made. He's all the way in the Netherlands. He's been fighting this fight through the making of hundreds of videos where he continues to tell the story of the victims that we've lost throughout the revolution so that their stories are heard, and also those that are right now unjustly in prison and having their voices and their names continuously amplified. So we got a jam-packed program, and as always, grateful for all of you for joining and being a part of the conversation. Don't be shy to comment, say things, and don't forget to meet each other, get to know each other, follow each other. You know, the ones who come join us on a weekly basis on Countdown to Freedom Iran, you're all part of our community. So it's good to kind of know your neighbor. So drop a hello, follow each other, because everybody that comes and watches here is for sure a freedom fighter that's fighting for a free and secular Iran. That's what we're doing. Gordoris Photography, one of our allies actually throughout the entire Azafdi Festival, joining us from California, if I'm not mistaken. Khali Mamnoon for all that you did, and thank you for everybody who I see here that was helping out with regards to the Azafdi Festival and just helping out with whatever we're doing at Unite and Conquer to continue uniting Iranians via impactful conversations, digital content, and events. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right to it. As I said, there is no countdown that doesn't begin without Paris Mansouri. So please help me welcome Paris all the way from to always bring us the latest factual news, unbiased news. And here she is from Canada.
My face is on, I hope.
My face is off. You know, it's we balance each other out. You put on a face, I take off a face, you know. Lovely to see you. I feel like it's been a while.
Listen, you're busy, like moving and shaking and holding festivals and not coming north of the border for these festivals. Just saying.
It's coming up next. It's definitely on the schedule. You know, we're going to be putting a world tour of Azafdi Festival, and you can be damn sure that Montreal is on that itinerary.
We should only be so lucky. Am I centered okay? I feel like either my head is cut off.
I think you can bring it. I think you can bring it down a little bit more.
Are we good? Hang on.
There you go.
Are we good?
Yes.
Hang on. Okay. Hello.
Well,
I come bearing bad news.
I know. Day 200 day 299. The fact that we're at day 299 is in and by itself bad news. But the president of the Islamic Regime, Ebrahim Raisi, is trying to expand his political and economic relations across the world. Where is this fool heading?
I love that you called him that. You could do that. I love it. He's been keeping busy, by the way. He was just over in Latin America. He visited 3 countries, and now he's heading over to Africa. If I'm looking to the side, that's where my notes are. Iman has not given us the budget for a teleprompter nor hair and makeup, so we're working on it. Until then, I'm looking to the side. So he's heading over to Kenya, to Uganda, and to Zimbabwe. This is all in a bid to get out of isolation. As we know, they're very much isolated across the world. So he's going to make friends wherever he can. So he's the first Islamic regime leader to head over to Africa in 11 years. And again, we realize Africa is an entire continent. I'm not referring to Africa as a country, but he is going to several countries in Africa to reestablish, reignite friendship. So he's kicking off his tour in Uganda. So he's heading to Kenya, Uganda, Zimbabwe, starting off in Uganda today. And some of his main points in his speech, so imagine he's trying to establish diplomatic relations, and get this, Iman, he starts off his speech by condemning homosexuality in Western countries. So for context, Uganda, by the way, has just established some of the most archaic and harshest anti-gay laws in the world. So he's probably like catering to that, but catering also to their own beliefs and how they treat individuals from the LGBTQ community. And I understand there's a longer version of that. I just don't want to mess up all the letters in it, so let's just keep it at that. For context, Iran had about $1.2 billion in trade with various African countries last year, and they're looking to build on that. This includes petrochemical products, food, medicine, engineering, and technical services. And when we say medicine, you have to understand that Iranians are suffering and they have lack of resources and access to medicine. And meanwhile, the Islamic regime has enough to export to African countries. That's on a side note. Raisi has also promised to help Uganda build domestic oil refineries and pipelines. And the caveat of that is that this pipeline that Raisi has promised to help them build is the same pipeline that has been opposed vehemently by environmentalists. And it's actually faced legal action from France and the European Parliament for them not to build this pipeline. And here comes Raisi saying, don't worry, we'll help you build it. So again, in case somebody's watching this and they're like, who cares what Raisi does in Uganda? Who cares about these tours? The reason we should care is that when you hear about the Islamic regime being prolific and being okay and thriving and surviving despite all the protests, you have to see and understand which countries behind the scenes are propping them up, are giving them money, are making concerted and coordinated efforts to legitimize the Islamic regime. So in case you're wondering, how has the regime thrived over the years when the European Parliament sometimes condemns them when they're supposedly under sanctions? This is how. And it's incredibly important for us to stay informed on these topics so we understand when we say movers and shakers, we understand what they're doing, we understand what's happening behind the scene, and therefore understand where they are getting their money from, considering there are sanctions.
A well-known cleric is getting threats from the Islamic regime after an armed attack in Zahedan. What more can you tell us about that?
We just skipped one, Iman. I wanted to talk about the GCC countries.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. Yeah, so GCC countries are staking claim to 3 islands in the Persian Gulf, and Russia is supporting them. So what is being disputed? I apologize.
Not a problem. So essentially what's being disputed is our territorial integrity. So the update is that the Islamic regime has summoned the Russian ambassador to essentially have a conversation. And in case anyone missed the story, what happened is that earlier this week, Moscow decided to basically sign off on an official statement that came out from Arab countries claiming that 3 islands in the Persian Gulf belong to them. Now, the countries are the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and Oman. They are all saying, and I'm going to share a part of their joint statement, it says they want to reach a peaceful solution to the issue of the 3 islands, Greater Tomb, Lesser Tomb, and Abu Musa through bilateral negotiations or the International Court of Justice. Greater Tomb and Lesser Tomb in Persian is Tombe Bozorg, Tombe Kuchik. These are historically they're in the Persian Gulf. They have belonged to Iran historically, and now they're basically wanting to stake claims to it. It's actually been going on for a while, and I'm going to get to that. Just so you guys know, other than Russia, China has previously supported this action from these GCC countries. So the three islands are very close to the Strait of Hormuz. For individuals who aren't aware, the Strait of Hormuz is the entrance and access point to the Persian Gulf. It is extremely vital to international trade when it comes to oil, and it's the Islamic regime that currently controls it. So getting control of those islands, it's actually extremely strategic and very important to them. Now, the three islands have been in dispute since 1971. That's when the British withdrew from that area. When the British withdrew, at that time, we had a king, and his name was Mohammad Reza Shah, and he sent in the Imperial Navy to claim those islands immediately. They were ours to begin with. As we know, the British had occupied many parts of our lands. When they left, we went and we staked claim to it. The UAE has been disputing that those are their three islands. But the thing is, if you guys aren't aware, when the British withdrew, it was December 16th, 1971. The UAE was established December 2nd, 1971. So they've been in existence for all of 14 days when this all happened. And in those 14 days, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, yeah, we just started existing. And those three islands that have been yours for 5,000 years, no, they're ours. So that's the dispute. That's what's happening. They're going to try to bring it to the International Criminal Court of Justice, all of that. So now you guys have the background when that happens, and you can argue cohesively with anyone who tries to dispute that those islands don't belong to Iran. They belong to Iran.
I think you make a pretty valid point, Paris. You know, it's hard to take over different lands when you've only existed for 4 days or 14 days. A well-known cleric is getting threats from the Islamic regime after an armed attack that Zahedan I was mentioning earlier. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so for background, and again, in newscasts, we go straight into the news, but I understand a lot of us are new to Iranian news, Iranian cultural relevance. We don't know the realities of on the ground. So when you hear Zahedan, you're probably like, okay, why do I care? Why is it important? So Zahedan has a very large Sunni population. Okay, Sunni Muslim population. As we know, in Iran, when it comes to Islam, the majority are Shia, and there's always been a strife between these two sects. Now, since the revolution started, Zahedan and the Sunni Muslims in that area have been extremely active in protesting. And I'm going to get to why later. It's actually besides Mahsa Jina Amini's murder, they actually have their own reason for protesting. So there is a Sunni religious cleric in that area. His name is Maulana Abdul Hamid. He has been considered a dissident cleric since the beginning. He has criticized the regime from the onset, and since the revolution, he's actually been louder. So anytime there is any sort of uprising in Zahedan, the Islamic regime immediately blames him. They're like, you're the one who's fanning the flames. Now, the reason why this is important is that Zahedan, as we know, and again, I'm going to get to it, has been protesting and stand behind this cleric. If anything happens to this cleric, it's going to get even louder and it's going to get even worse. Now, for background, this past weekend, there was an attack on a police station. 2 Islamic regime security officers were killed. 2 of the attackers were killed. The Islamic regime is blaming this cleric for inciting this hatred. Now, these guys could have been anybody attacking the police station, but they're blaming this guy. Now, the quote-unquote official regime statement is destructive statements against the system are the red line of the regime. The pure blood of martyrs defending security who were martyred in the terrorist attack on Precinct 16 and Zahedan will not go without punishment. So we're all waiting to see what that punishment looks like. So again, the important part to keep an eye on this is that we know that Zahedan has been protesting. We know that they have been very loud about it. We know that they come out despite massive arrests and that they will stand by this cleric no matter what. So it is definitely a hot zone right now, and it's a story that we're following.
Yeah, so like they're definitely continuing these anti-regime protests now for 40 consecutive weeks and counting, right?
Yes. So both Zahedan and Sistan and Baluchistan, they've been protesting on a regular basis. They've been holding protests since September 30th, and they're commemorating an incident that took place on September 30th where Islamic regime forces killed 80 anti-regime protesters in one day. So this story, I mean, after the Mahsa Jina Amini revolution began and there were protests all around Iran, a lot of these stories went unheard. A lot of these mass killings went unheard. But on September 30th, regime officials killed 80 protesters in Zahedan. And so that was what they have been protesting against all of this time. Not to minimize Gina Amini's story, but this is what's really been a boiling point for them.
For sure. U.S. intelligence says that Iran is not currently developing nuclear weapons. What does that statement mean, and what is the impact?
Yeah, isn't it funny, Manjin? We're trying to get them listed on the terrorist list. We're trying to get the JCPOA to take an end. We know they've been negotiating, but all of a sudden now they're saying, no, it's not a big deal. So here's the backstory. We know that the Biden administration is extremely soft on the Islamic regime. We know that the Biden administration has been defending its desire to basically end their nuclear deal. And by end means start and actually sign the nuclear deal that was started back in 2015. It's called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which we refer to as JCPOA. So according to the Associated Press now, they say, quote, the assessment from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released Monday says Iran has moved to increase its capacity to produce an atomic bomb since 2020, but has stopped short of that so far. So now all of a sudden they're minimizing it. And a statement like this actually lessens the urgency to take immediate action against the Islamic regime. And what's really interesting with this timing is that Rob Malley, who is the chief negotiator of the JCPOA, has been suspended. He is currently on unpaid leave since last month, and he's basically being investigated for claims he mishandled classified information. So this is massive news. The main guy who was supposed to be negotiating with the Islamic regime is being investigated. And now they're saying, oh, well, this deal wasn't that big of a deal anyway. It's very curious. It's very disconcerting to see that the highest level of government is now saying, after all these efforts, now we got nothing to worry about. So a lot of red flags there, and we're definitely keeping an eye on this.
I love his nickname, Mullah Mali. This week marked 20 years since the death of Iranian Canadian photojournalist Zahra Kazemi. Could you please remind our viewers who she was and what the Islamic regime did to her?
Absolutely. But first, I want to acknowledge Golji's Photography 66, who's like, Rob Malley is an Islamic regime clown. We can't say that because we're professional, but we're very happy somebody said that in our chat. So back to Zahra Kazemi. Iman, had you heard about this photojournalist?
The name sounds familiar, but I'll be honest, I haven't heard the entire story, so this is going to be helpful.
So this was a huge story in Canada at the time. So she was an over 60 Canadian Iranian photojournalist. She'd gone to Iran. She was taking photos outside of Evin prison, taking photos of families and of people coming and going. And then she was arrested. She was arrested on June 23rd, 2003, and she died in a hospital in Tehran on June 11th. 2003, and an inquiry commission was comprised of 5 ministers. It was set up by, at that time, President Khatami. They said that she died of a brain hemorrhage caused by a blow to the head. And this part that I'm going to read is actually maybe triggering, because there's a long list of things that don't actually match with brain hemorrhage. They're saying what the doctors found was that, quote, they're saying her entire body carried strange marks of violence, bruised from forehead to ear, skull fracture, broken fingers, missing fingernails, abdominal bruising, brutal, I can't say the word, but physical assault, swelling behind the head, burst ear membrane, bruised shoulder, the list goes on. Imagine what these people did to a 60-plus-year-old woman who was a photographer, and they ended up killing her.
Wow, so the regime actually revealed this as being the cause of death?
They said that it was a brain hemorrhage. They didn't go, first they said it was mysterious circumstances, and then they said officially brain hemorrhage, but there was actually an autopsy that was performed, and there was doctors who came out behind the scenes, and they gave a list of everything that they'd done to this woman.
Absolutely heartbreaking. Can we talk about updates about protesters and detainees?
Yes, I know we're like against the clock too. So Tumash Salehi, the Iranian rapper who was arrested in the early days of the revolution, he got he was basically sentenced with some of the highest sentences that you can get, which is basically enmity against God. He got 6 years in prison. The judge who delivered his verdict is Mortaza Barati, and he's actually sanctioned by the government of Canada. His case has actually gotten international attention, a lot of people calling for his release. Many may say that that's why he got a lesser sentence, but we know that individuals like Majid al-Rahnavad, he did much less, and he actually was killed for those crimes. There are questions that are being raised about why was he forgiven. He's vocally said so many things, not against the system, but also against the supreme leader, which is the highest crime in the nation. And he's getting off for it, and getting off, again, by no means do we think 6 years in prison is getting off for freedom of speech. But a lot of people are wondering how this is happening and why this has happened when people who did much less, just protested, were actually killed. There's also the fate of Kurdish.
Well, I'm sorry, how much of that do you attribute to the fact that the entire world has been speaking up about him?
The entire world has been speaking up about a lot of people. I mean, there are individuals in jail like Nasrin Sotoudeh, like Narges Mohammadi, who are also in jail long term, who are human rights activists, who claim to be human rights activists, who are lawyers, and they have done nothing except defend other people. So it's just very interesting how the regime picks and chooses who it decides to save.
Got it.
I know we're against the clock. I did want to mention someone, Yasin, who is also a rapper. His crimes are waging war against God, corrupting the earth. We don't have an update on him. The Iranian court has sentenced a 16-year-old teenager to 2 years in prison for taking part in protests. They're saying that, sources close to the case are saying that he was forced into a confession, and his bail is set at $120,000, which is absolutely insane. And then I also want to mention Khorshid Azari, who is a friend of the show. We don't know him personally, but he's a relative of one of our producers and an active uniter. Khorshid Azari has only been arrested because he is Baha'i. He's sentenced to 5 years in prison, a large fine, house arrest, national arrest. He doesn't even have his passport anymore. We definitely want to keep his story alive and hopefully lessen the sentence for him as well.
Action items this week and hashtags we're following.
Hashtag free Khorshida, hashtag Mohammad Ghobalu, who did receive a death sentence and we don't have an update on him. Hashtag IRGC terrorists, we'll keep doing that. Hashtag Saman Yasin, and the mainstays, hashtag Mahsa Amini and hashtag Iran Revolution.
Final message for our listeners.
Forever. Bunch of messages. Guys, let's read up. Let's get educated on individuals so we know who we're standing behind during this revolution. And finally, our language in English is called Persian. وقتی به فارسی حرف میزنیم میگیم ما فارسی حرف میزنیم، ما انگلیسی حرف میزنیم، نمیگیم ما English حرف میزنیم. و به خاطر این when we speak in English, we say I speak Persian.
Thank you so much, Persian. به امید آزادی. Appreciate you.
به امید آزادی.
Bye. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, please show some love for Paris for once again breaking it all down for us. Waiting for Dr. Sam to join us. I'm not sure why he's fashionably late. So just a little heads up that Mona June, if you're available, please be ready. But we're going to have Dr. Sam, who's going to be talking about, oh, there he is. He just likes to scare us a little bit. All right. Dr. Sam is a doctor of chiropractic and enzyme nutrition. And today he's going to be talking about sinus pressure and ways to combat it. How you doing, Dr. Sam?
What's going on, my man? How are you doing, Iman John?
Not too bad. Great to see you. You scared me for a second. You always do this little scare where you like, don't come on when I need you to come on. But here you are.
I was pressing the button.
Well, it's always technological challenges. Speaking of challenges, sometimes we, us humans, we have sinus pressures. And today you're going to be talking about that. So talk about sinus pressure and natural ways to combat it.
Well, I mean, it's something that's kind of like sweeping the globe. It's become, an epidemic, a pandemic. That's something people are like, not just in the springtime. People are like developing chronic sinusitis. They're having sinus issues. They contributed to allergies, increased pollen in the air. So it's something that's not just in Florida, which a lot of people are probably suffering with this heat right now. They're saying their sinuses are flared up. I see it on a daily basis, but it's something that's happening worldwide.
Is this all in their head, pun intended?
Yes and no. No, it's not. It's not in their head. It's in their head, but it's actually not. It's something that's being triggered. So there's a lot of things, that could be happening. It could be, like you said, allergens in the air. But a lot of times, if you don't have inflammation in your body, those allergens that would be entering your body and attaching and causing you to have sinus pressure won't be happening. Also, we talk about all the time, stress, emotional, chemical, and structural stress. When you're stressed out, you become inflamed. One of the things become your sinuses.
What about what we can do about it? Allergy meds, blowing our nose more, move to a new city. I'm not leaving Miami, but hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, don't move, because you're probably going to get the same things in other states as well. It's different, it's like different cities, same problems. But a lot of times there's natural ways. You can take allergy medicines. I know some people like to take those, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are a lot of natural remedies, such as one of my favorites, Iman John, is eucalyptus oil. Eucalyptus oil has been used for years. The eucalyptus plant, and a lot of times in towns and cities in Europe, they actually have them in their showers. Like the eucalyptus leaves, they put them in there, so when they turn on the hot water, they breathe through their nose. You can buy this at any health food store. You take 10 to 15 drops in the shower, just drop it on the floor, breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. This is antiviral, antimicrobial, and decreases that viscosity, which helps kind of the mucus move through your sinuses. Number two, Iman John, what I love is this neti pot, or what I like to is the Nelmed sinus relief. This is a little pressure. You put a little saline solution in here, and you basically pull it up one side of your nostril, mouth open, and it helps drain the sinuses while lubricating it as well, so you don't dry out. It gets all that gunk out of there. And then, of course, the easy go-to solution, drink a lot more water. I like to drink mine out of a glass container, because plastic can have some allergens. Even if it says it's BPA free, it's always better to go with glass and or double insulated metal.
I literally just ordered the eucalyptus oil on Amazon as we're speaking, because I usually go to Equinox where they have the eucalyptus stuff going, and that's where I'm getting my $220 a month worth right there, just getting a whiff of it. But now apparently I can do it for $20, and it'll last me 6 months. So thank you for the cost saving and the health recommendations. Now, as a chiropractor, I got to ask, does the neck play a role in affecting the sinuses at all?
Let me see if I can say this in a scientific way. Absolutely, it does. A lot of times you see people, obviously we've talked about text neck in the past, we've talked about poor posture, biomechanics, but we don't realize what that poor posture or stress on the neck could be doing and the nerves that it goes to. So it could contribute to headaches, it can contribute to, digestion, it can contribute to the way you're breathing, it can also contribute to sinus pressure. So a lot of times you have upper neck tension, it can actually be contributing and not allowing your sinus to drain. So definitely seeing a chiropractic physician who's going to do a full assessment and thorough evaluation is going to be something great. And for everybody out there watching, please tell me you're not watching with like this and you bring your phone up like this, because that's where the sinus pressure, the nerves to the sinuses come from the upper neck. So fixing your posture, seeing a good chiropractor, and making sure that you have the natural remedies to fight sinus pressure today.
Well, I'm seeing a good chiropractor this Friday at 10:30 a.m. Dr. Sam, I'm coming to you. Looking forward to seeing you there, and thank you so much.
I see you on the schedule. I see you on the schedule.
I'll see you there, and crack whatever you have to crack to unleash or release the sinus pressure that I have up in his house right here.
There you go, man. We got you. We got your back, got your neck, got your sinuses, got you covered,
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. Appreciate you joining as always and dropping all this wonderful health knowledge. Much love. Let's go.
Take care, brother.
Ciao. All right. The countdown train continues to go down the track, and we're doing great time-wise. Up next, I'm going to be welcoming Mona Haghighi, one of our uniters, who's going to be giving us all the latest things that we've been doing and the importance of joining groups like Unite and Conquer. And then we have Ravin Khorshid Alam coming at 8:40 p.m. Eastern. Hi, Mona John.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a while.
Yeah. Yes, it's been a solid 5 hours. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining. You're going to be giving us a nice little, it's a unique uniter segment. Huh? What are we trying to accomplish in this 10 minutes, based on you?
Yeah, so we just had the Azafdi Festival. That was an epic event, thanks to the collaboration of all the ambassadors and allies, everybody that was committed to make this happen one way or another. It was an amazing event, and I hope to be able to participate in creating more of those. And you know, it was a really great event, and it brought a lot of people together, which made me very happy. I created lifelong friends from the planning of the event, so that was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, like, tell us more about what it means to show up for the Iranian community. And by showing up for the Iranian community, it means that when the community as a whole needs us the most, we have a group of people that are actively involved and doing whatever they can. So, what do you think it means to you?
Well, showing up for the community, to me is, you know, is everything, because we, first of all, we come together as a team, which strengthens me and gives me power to fight. And I really see the thankfulness of the community, and straight from Iran, people thanking us every day for our efforts. I mean, I had people thanking us for too much not being sentenced to death. And I mean, obviously, I don't take credit for too much not being sentenced to death. And we're not happy until he's free and all of them are free. But I think we're doing something. I don't think it's all in vain. I think all the hashtags, all of our voices, us amplifying the voices of Iranians in Iran, it does something. So it means everything. I mean, I know for sure, especially now after finding all these new friends that I know have the same goal as us, I will definitely not stop fighting until Iran is free.
So why is it important to keep showing up even when it feels like others are not?
Oh yeah, that it. I mean, it's a hard question, but it's easy to show up. Even, I mean, I have been feeling depleted a lot of times when others have given up. But I feel like I always remind myself um, it's important to take a break for your own mental health. It's important to think about yourself and take care of yourself first. But it's equally as important to come back stronger and unified and wanting to fight and not forget what you were fighting for in the first place.
You know what's funny, like for me, is that you know, I had a lot of higher hopes for more people showing up to the Azafdi Festival, especially in DC. But what I'm seeing from what's happening with all these ambassadors and the uniters and all these individuals that have been supporting the program is like it has actually energized me. You know, like I'm really choosing to focus on this, like it's like this hope that I see in this community. You know, we have long ways to go to be able to make massive impact, but for me it's a stepping stone of hope, is that we see exactly the type of unity that we've been you know, screaming about for like the last 10 months. So it's a very small data sample in my opinion, but it just shows that there's potential, you know, and like you see kind of like something blossoming. And that's what I see. Like I really see like the most incredible flower that's being built, you know, or created. And that's what I see. How much do these individuals that we are spending so much time with now every day and night, how much does it energize you?
Oh my God, 100%. I mean, you know, I wasn't even able to make it to the Azadi Festival. And I feel like I've known these people forever, just planning everything. Even there's some allies that weren't even able to become ambassadors because they were so busy, but just them being so dedicated to sharing all the content and responding to us with whatever we needed. I mean, it's been incredible. I've seriously come close to so many people. And I mean, I I've always been okay with making friends. That's not what it's about. These are friends that believe in the same thing as us. They fight the same fight as us. So it's a different kind of friendship. We support each other. We build each other up. We tell each other about our experiences. It's like therapy, you know. We share. So it's 100% very, very important to me. I mean, all these people that are watching right now and supporting, I mean, I love you all and thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I love what Sarajun says. She said we're imitating what we want to build, you know, like we are truly creating the most ideal community that we would love to see, one that supports, one that inspires, one that motivates, one that educates. I mean, Paris drops knowledge like crazy every time. Dr. Sam drops stuff that helps us live a healthier life. And we're doing all these great things while, of course, doing what we can for our people inside of Iran. And the reason, for those of you watching that may be new to what we're doing here at Countdown, the reason why we're talking about this is because we want to continue to attract these like-minded individuals, and we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable to reach out and be like, hey, you know what, I see what you all are doing and I'd love to be a part of it, because there is no limit. This is not an exclusive club. This is one that, as long as you believe in a free and secular Iran and you're here for the betterment of our community, there is definitely room. Not only there's definitely room, we are hoping that you would join us. And that's why we want to start dedicating more time to kind of sharing a little bit more about what we're doing, who we are, what is our goal, so that if it's aligned with your goals and your skill sets and your passion, that you say, hey guys, I want to kind of join and be of value to this community, because that's really what it's all about, is being able to serve the community.
Exactly. It makes me very excited when people reach out and say, what can I do? And a lot of people think, oh my God, but what would I be able to do? Oh my God, there's so much, and everybody is important and everybody is able to participate somehow, believe me. When I first started the Uniters, I thought, what can I do? I'm not sure what I can do. And I just threw myself into everything, and it's been amazing since day one.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's even if somebody can allocate 1 or 2 hours a week, we welcome those individuals, because we understand that people have challenges, people are busy, you know, like it's those of us that are able to spend a lot of time on this, it's a privilege that we're able to kind of somehow make it happen. But there are some people that can only allocate a little bit, but we'll take that little bit, you know, because as long as the intent is genuine and it's pure and you're about the mission and vision, then we welcome you with open arms.
Absolutely.
Very, very cool. Well, we're oh, and by the way, for those who don't know, Mona Jun is as a, you know, her regular 8 to 5 is being an HR director. So her specialty is everything human relations, and she's been human resources, excuse me. And so she's really been helping creating a lot more organizational structure and just kind of helping with making sure that anybody that is interested in joining us is welcomed in a very professional manner, that there's a lot of that the infrastructure is there, so you're not kind of just walking in blindly and you're like gomagur. Immediately you're welcomed with amazing people like Mona Jun and so many other people that are part of like the welcome community, if you may, you know, people that will give you a virtual tour of all the things that we're doing, because there's so many things going on at one time. Like we have literally, I don't know how many group chats, you know, from sales to marketing to branding to you know, different event ideas, planning the next Azafdi Festival, you know, fundraising opportunities, you know, whatever it is to continue to strengthen the community. So we appreciate you, Mona Jun, for all the time that you take and helping welcome new members as smoothly and efficiently as possible.
It's my pleasure. And also for anyone watching, please remember, we're not done just because Azafdi Festival is done. We have a lot more coming up. We are going to plan something big for Mahsa Amini's death anniversary on September 16th. So just keep watching.
Yeah, and so if you're not already a part of the Unite and Conquer family, please message me. Please message Mona, ask some questions. Let us share with you some of the stuff that we've done. Let us share with you like some website information. We're actually in the process, thanks to Mona Jun, to continue to kind of clean up house a little bit and just kind of, you know, create a more clear mission statement, vision statement, being as transparent as possible. We are so understanding that we're living in very vicarious times, and you know, some things are not super clear. So we have nothing to hide here. You know, we really are just a group of people that are trying to be the voice of people inside of Iran. You know, and then we're also doing Farhang Sazi, just cultural building, preserving the culture, celebrating our culture. You know, because there's two components. This part needs to exist no matter what, but we continue to fight for a free Iran as well. So I encourage you all to just reach out, ask questions, and hopefully you'll be an integral part of Unite and Conquer, which will only make us stronger, just like you see a bunch of awesome individuals in the chat right now. Cool, Mona Jun. It's time for our special guest, and it's one of our favorite dudes, you know, Ravin Khorshid Alam. You ready for him?
Yes, I'm so excited.
All right.
Love Ravin.
Poor guy is sitting in Netherlands at 2:30 in the morning. I think it's time to bring him on, and he's clicking in. Much love, Mona Jun. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, it's that time where I get to welcome really a special individual, and you're going to be able to really connect with his energy from the moment that you talk to him. A few months ago, I started to follow his Instagram page, Raw So Fresh, and I just noticed that the type of videos that he was making. By the way, Ravin John, make sure you press the plus sign inside the camera so that you can get into the green room. You know, he was making just very unique type of videos to basically tell the stories of either the victims of our revolution or the individuals that are right now in jail and they need us to be their voice. And so so much has been impacted by the content that he's been creating. And so about a month or two ago, as we were messaging back and forth, and you could just sense his energy, I was like, please become an ambassador of Azafdi Festival. And he immediately jumped in. And when I say jump in and get his hands dirty and be active and be vocal and take the lead, that's Ravin Khorshid Alam. So joining us all the way from the Netherlands, please help me welcome this gentleman who turned out to be my cousin. Essentially, we're related through marriage, and so he's fam. Ravin Jan Durud.
Durud Chetari, how are you?
Great to see
You
you,
look
man.
handsome, bro, without your beard.
No, I hate it, man. I hate it. But my girlfriend's out of town, so I have permission to shave it off for 10 days. You know.
Okay. Awesome. You look younger.
Well, we're doing a switcheroo. You got this thing down here, and I've got this thing down there. Combined, it'd be a cool face.
Yeah, but you have choices, bro.
Well, listen, you've made the choice to stay up till 2:30 in the morning this morning, all the way in Netherlands. Thank you so much for being here. You know, any opportunity to put a spotlight on awesome individuals like you and like so many other ambassadors that we have, it's my duty. And so I appreciate you staying up. For those who don't know Ravin Khorshid Alam, can you give a little background about yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm 36. I live in Holland. I had a bunch of coffee, so staying up, it was easy. Falling asleep will be harder. Yeah, and I have a French bulldog. He's not with me now. And I studied communications. And yeah, when the revolution started, I just basically did this. We talked about that last time. Please let's not talk about that again. But yeah, and basically, you know, I'm gonna be really honest. When Iranians grow up, you either gotta become an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer, or something like that. And so I just studied something, and now I've also found my passion of making like videos and editing. So yeah, that's pretty cool that I'm able to do something I'm passionate about, and yeah, do something I love doing for my people.
Yeah, and it's been incredibly impactful, and anyone that's been watching your videos, I'm sure appreciate all the time that you take into editing these and keeping the stories of our precious brothers and sisters alive. There's something important you wanted to kind of talk about, and that was, you know, that you're reminded as you want to make sure everyone realizes that revolution is not over, and that you want to make sure that people will go to Cafe Khiyabun again. Tell me more about how you feel about the current state of the revolution, and where you see it going.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a sprint; it's a marathon. And what there's a lot of stuff that the regime does their best, so we don't see it. Okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on live, but sometimes mercenaries of the regimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, mercenaries of the regime have very unfortunate accidents. And those things are always reported on as like yeah, this guy basically choked on a apple seed and he died. But in reality, something else happened. So the resistance has gone more underground, and they are super afraid that stuff like that comes out, because then their own people will become more scared. And there are like a billion ways that people are still resisting. For example, one of the craziest ones is they chast me pachan ruye ATM. They put like super glue on ATM machines and disable the machine so people can't get cash money. I know for a fact most people don't know that this is happening. Sometimes like public places are burnt, like or police stations with I also don't know if I'm allowed to say this, with cocktails that are inflammable, let's say that. And even women going out without their headscarf is still a big form of resistance. Riding bicycles, riding bikes, which is normal for us but prohibited for women in Iran. And I'm sure they're writing protest slogans on banknotes. So all these things are becoming incorporated with the threat of society, and it's all planting little seeds in the minds of people. And by the time that the streets, that something happens to ignite the people to go back to streets, they have also gathered a lot of experience. They know what it is to be shot with those pellet bullets. They know what it is to see someone else get shot, and people say a lot of crazy stuff. They're like, yeah, I'll go outside, but and fight back. But I don't know how I would respond if I went out with you, God forbid, or let's say a cousin, and my cousin next to me is getting shot, and there's people screaming, and there's like smoke and shots everywhere. You panic. You don't know what to do. You're a regular dude. You're not a military. So people, how long of a process is. And sorry for talking too long, but there's one more thing that I would like to say. In all revolutions in the history of mankind, the last one was in Germany when the Berlin Wall fell, and before that in France and Russia. During the French Revolution, people were really hungry, and they asked Marie Puff, the queen of France. They asked her. They said the people don't have any bread to eat, and she was like, "Why won't they eat cake?" So always the biggest fuel behind a revolution is hunger. And as long as a lot of people are still in the country working with the regime, they have noon to sofra shundara, and their incentive to go outside is much smaller than the people that are becoming more hungry. But another thing is that gas prices have been raised again. There are restrictions on gas stations. I saw this baker that didn't get the right dough to make bread. When people become more hungry, and the price and the circumstances, like the pyramid of Maslow with the basic needs, when people don't have the basic needs, they have less and less to lose, and this is also happening. So there's a lot of hope, and I will say something something, but I believe in my heart that before even the remembrance, the yearly remembrance of Mahsa Amini, before that, the streets will get busy again.
Oh, that was actually my next question. I was like, do you think that the next big day is going to be September 16th? But your guess is it's going to be before that, huh?
Yes, and because of making the videos and because of my Unite and Conquer family who has amplified my voice, people in Iran have started reaching out to me. It's scary because you don't know who you're talking to, but one individual, he has been verified by Manotu and he has done interviews. He's still in Iran, and he basically said, can you please take one of your videos down, because it was widespread, and it was a woman who came across a man filming her, and she filmed him. Now, because he seemed credible and he said your video could endanger her, I took the video down. And then we started talking, and he was telling me a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And he says, look, trust me, meidun jang do report me shit, like it's gonna happen, and it's bound to happen, because the core cause of the revolution has not been resolved, and it's only worse because people have been killed. Like, imagine everyone in Iran has someone in their family or a friend of the family who has been tortured or imprisoned or killed. So khashm, the bishtar mishi, I don't know how to say that in English, but yeah.
You know, there's one thing you mentioned. You said people have also gained much more experience in what it is to fight on the streets. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I did a little when I painted a pretty bad picture of someone getting shot, but there is, like, for example, there is cloth named felt. I don't know the Persian name of it, because someone sent it to me, and I did Google Translate. But felt is like a very cheap type of cotton, and when you wear it, the little irony bullets, they don't pass through it, or it's much harder, they penetrate less deep. So those things are things that people learn. And I spoke to this one protester who fled to Turkey, and she said there are all types of tactics. Like, the people who scream the loudest are always targeted first. So sometimes in certain situations, it's better to be more quiet. And all these little things, the people who have gone outside, they know it. So you become more strategized, and you become more experienced, like basically a soldier in war. And a lot of people have gained arms during the first waves, but those arms can only be used once, because once you've used them, and you don't have any ammunition, or you are fine. So people are supplying also themselves with arms, and more people are going to be able to be armed when they use it, when they have to use it.
So, you're speaking of arms and ammunition. I look at somebody like you, and your arms and your ammunition is your camera, it's your editing skills, it's your social media platform, and you know, I feel like you're a perfect example of why I'm really grateful for what we're doing, is because we get to provide you with more ammunition, which is the amplification. And we're trying to attract more Ravins around the world at Unite and Conquer. Take a couple minutes and just kind of tell how things have changed and shifted in the last few weeks. Now that you're like, shit, I have a bunch of people right now that like are helping strengthen you. Because my goal is that you all have the strongest army around you, because you're all amazing things in your own ways. Talk a little bit about that.
First of all, before we even get into metrics, it's like I feel supported by brothers and sisters, and the whole spirit just gives me energy and lifts me up. So that is first, and that's the most important thing. Second of all, I have done a collab with Patch the Maniac. He has a beautiful voice, and we were able to use his music. At one point, I swear this is the most crazy thing. I had this one lady who's living in the UK. She was doing the piano for my videos. At some point, she had some private stuff. She couldn't do it anymore. She was busy. And I was like, wow, a flute would be so awesome, because the flute sometimes, you know, in some subjects, it just cuts through the soul, and it's like perfect. And then you got Laura Feivelman, and I was like, hey, I'm an ambassador.
Great.
I'm you know, I don't care. So
I love it.
In sales, you learn that you already have a no and you can get a yes. So I was like, hey, how are you? I'm Ravin. I'm doing this. Look at my page. And she was like, whoa, you can see the progress, and you've crafted your stuff. And then we made a post, and it went viral with Mona Haghighi and her music. And so that was really cool, because somehow during the editing, everything fell in place, and yeah, I was. And I'm completely shadow banned. I've said this. My account status is basically, if you mess up one more time, we're gonna delete your account. So that's my biggest fear. And now I've broken the algorithm because, in fact, my stuff cannot be recommended in Reels. But with the collab of someone who is not shadow banned, I still circumvent that.
That's amazing. Important question. Have you collaborated with Ashley Zahra yet? If you're going to have Paige's great voice and you're going to have Laura's amazing instrumental skills, I better see you having Ashley and Ahdi and the rest of the crew. I'm sure it's in the pipeline.
Yeah, I'm as I said, I'm Bachiporu, so I already have something coming with Ashley. I also reached out to Shaheen. He was really kind. And
freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Sorry, it's the worst imitation of Ashley. I apologize, Ashley.
She's awesome, and I don't want to spoil it, but she sent me. No, I'm not gonna tell. I'm not say it because she made something really awesome, and I'm gonna use it. I wasn't even planned to use that, but okay.
We'll keep it private.
You're gonna find out eventually, and this other guy who is also a rapper, but he raps in Farsi.
Ahdi.
Yes, exactly. I reached out to Ahdi as well, so I hope I can do something with him.
Love it. Well. I cannot wait for you to ask me to sing on one of your videos too. I'm definitely ready to go, and I'm looking forward to sharing my vocal prowess, you know?
Is that for real or?
Absolutely not. I'll leave my voice for where it belongs, in the shower. That's it.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm not talented like that. I'm basically, if you go to my page, I called myself a journalist because I was like, okay, if you guys are not going to report the news, I'm going to do it. So I'm a journalist, but I'm not. I can't sing, so we don't want babies to cry. So no.
I mean, listen. What I love about what you're doing, Ravin, is that, as always, you're taking initiative, you're taking action. What you're doing is pretty much a blueprint of what I hope that every other person that joins the United Conquer family does it. Meaning, like, they don't have to worry about Tarov. They know that everybody is here to help and support and strengthen each and every person's efforts. You know, and like you've been doing some incredible stuff. Naturally, you're going to become stronger when you build alliances with the rest of the ambassadors, you know, and you're going to have to continue to talk to more of the people, because every single person that we have in the ambassadors and uniters and within this family that we've created, they all bring something to the table. You know, it's just a matter of getting to know them. Every single day, I'm finding out new talents, new skill sets, new experiences, you know, because it's only been a few weeks since most of us have connected. You know, I've known a lot of our uniters for the past 8, 9, 10 months, but it's like adopting an entire new family of 40, 50 people at one time, and you're just starting to break bread and get to know them and see what fuels them and how to best unite and conquer, you know?
Agreed. Revolution family.
Revolution family. Ravin Jaman, Damigaman, I appreciate you joining us, and as always, thank you for everything you're doing in this entire revolution. It's a critical role, and you have our entire support. You already know it. You have our entire support to continue doing what you're doing, which I know is is pissing off the regime, and that's what we're all here to do right now, is to continue to be a thorn in their ass until we kick them out of here.
And that's what I said. I imagine there's like a gym classroom with people behind computers trying to attack us, and I hope that there's like a team of 3 people who are in charge of making sure I don't do anything, and every time they see something, they just shit themselves.
That's exactly what's happening. They're worried. They know that the end is near. They're definitely they're figuring out their exit strategies, and they're just being desperate. But much love to you, brother. Moza khoyd bash and ba umid azadi.
Yes, khudafs.
All right. We're going to have Ravin go to sleep. Poor guy's going to have to try to figure out how to sleep after 6 coffees that it took for being up at this time of the night or morning in Netherlands. And he's already said that anytime that we want to go to Netherlands, we have a place to stay. So save yourself $150 in a hotel and crash at Ravin's and get to know his little dog. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of another great program. Thank you so much for joining episode 28 of Countdown to Freedom in Iran. Much love and thank you to Paris Mansouri for the latest news, Mona Haghighi for the United segment, Dr. Sam for telling us about sinuses and how to combat them, and of course for every single one of you for joining and engaging and continuing to do whatever it can and you can to keep this revolutionary flame alive. So keep on doing what you're doing. If you're new to the Unite and Conquer community, please find out more about who we are and what we do. In this chat, you get to see a lot of the great people that have been such an integral part of everything we've been doing at Unite and Conquer, everything that we did for the Azafdi Festival, and everything that we're working on day and night, literally day and night, because we have people all over the world. Our chats are constantly buzzing, and that's a great sign. That means that we still have people that are believing that this revolution will be realized, that are believing that this regime last days are in sight, and they're believing in building a community that is all of love, respect, integrity, and support. So thank you all for joining. Appreciate you all. Join us next Wednesday, another special episode. And ba umid azadi. Ciao.